Hello, friends, and welcome back to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in apparently kind of hard to find Transformers. I finally got Grotusque, specifically Titan's Return Grotusque, and I'm going to talk about it because I want to, and because I just got him, and he's based off of my favorite mold from the Titan's Return line, so just bear with me, I guess. Anyway, Grotusque. As I've said previously with Double Cross or Twinferno, whichever you want to go with, I've never actually owned any of the monster bots growing up, so Grotusque is pretty much as new to me as Twinferno and Double Cross were. Like, I think a friend of mine had Repugnus, and I messed around with Repugnus a little bit, but never ever saw or handled Double Cross or Grotusque in the G1 era. Anyway, I'm getting on to Grotusque. He is from the waist down exactly the same as Twinferno and Double Cross. He's got those same little monstery legs, that same tail, and he's got the same wings too. But most of his torso has been remolded. The little Titan Master cockpit is the same too. But yeah, most of his torso has been remolded. The arms are different. The head is different. Yeah, he's very, very similar to the Twinferno and Double Cross mold. Speaking of Twinferno and Double Cross, I'll just bring the crew in here. Pardon me. And you can see, I don't know why I'm doing this comparison. I still have Twinferno, so I figure why not. But yeah, here you go. And as you can kind of see, they pretty much have the same basic lower portion there. Although the vents on these guys are missing from the knees on Grotusque there. In terms of which one he goes with, I don't think it really matters. The gray on Grotusque is darker than the gray on Twinferno and lighter than the gray on Double Cross, so I mean, it doesn't really match regardless, so it kind of fits either way. And then he's got this very plum-colored plastic there that doesn't really go with anything. So while it doesn't necessarily match these guys, it doesn't clash with either of them. So I suppose if you were looking to get Grotusque and display him with one of these two, he'd fit either one pretty much the same as far as I can tell. And then of course there is the one other similarity in that both Grotusque and Twinferno, not Double Cross, Twinferno, have the same weapon accessories. As you can kind of see here. The only real difference being Grotusque's is this, also that weird kind of plum fuchsia-y plastic that's been painted. Don't know why it's been painted when they actually have that colored plastic on the toy, but whatever. And Double Cross's is just black. And I like these because you can actually make out the detail, whereas these are just kind of vague gun shapes. Even with the lighting, it's hard to make out the details on these things. Alright, enough about the MonsterBot comparisons. Let's get back to Grotusque himself. Alright, so yeah, Grotusque's color scheme, as I sort of was getting at before, is a bit all over the place. It's weird because in monster mode, I'm not a big fan of the color scheme, but I really like how it works out in robot mode. I don't quite understand that. Moving in a little closer here, since he's not as tall as the double-headed dragons. Yeah, there's just a lot of this weird purpley plastic, like the purple, the kind of slightly gray, like it's white, but it's like got a slight gray tinge to it. So you've got like the extremely light gray, the darker gray, the purple, and the blue. It's just like a really weird color combination. And I know it's based off of the original toy, but it's not really working for me in this mode overall. I mean, I think the head looks fantastic. Like, I really, really like this head. It's like, I don't know, some kind of like vaguely Godzilla-ish kind of head with like a little bit of lion mixed in there. It looks really good. It's got kind of like a, I don't know, it's like maybe a gargoyle or something, if you factor in the wings. It does look good, and here I think the dark gray, blue, and just a little bit of that purple actually works pretty well. It's a nice design, but looking at the whole body, it's just kind of visually messy. I don't know, I mean, I like portions of it, like, you know, blocking out this here. I like the contrast of the darker gray with the torso here, and I like the contrast with the head and the chest area here, but then like when you look at it as a whole, it's just kind of But I mean, you know, it's based off of a color scheme for an old school Transformer that, I mean, let's be honest, how many G1 or G2 Transformers actually weren't ugly as far as their color schemes go? It's a little bit with the colors here, but I still think it's overall pretty good. Just the shape of it works for me, and that head is fantastic. Oh, speaking of heads, don't want to forget, he has a Titan Master. And oh boy, come on, get out of there. There we go. And here we have Grotusque's Titan Master, which is just, oh goodness. If Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell were going to be a robot, I could see him being these colors. This is just super, super 80s and early 90s. That turquoise that is nowhere on Grotusque. And then a little bit of that purple fuchsia-y plastic, and the white there, dark gray. It's, yeah. The body as is very similar to the Headmaster for Twinferno and Double Cross. The head is different, though. That's like this weird saber-toothed tiger thing that I'm sure is based on an actual character that I have either no knowledge of or just don't remember, and I'm sure someone will fill me in, but yeah. He's just this weird little saber-toothed tiger guy. And it's fine. It's just like, oh god, the color scheme on this. that is Lisa Frank nightmare right there. I mean, I don't mind it, mostly because he stays rolled up in head mode when I have him on the shelf or hidden away in the in Grotusque's chest cavity. But wow, that is a look. Anyway, get him transformed real quick so we can get the head taken care of right off the bat. And the head looks really good. I like this head mode a lot. The gray for the face is a little too dark. It makes picking out the details pretty difficult, and also they were a little bit sloppy with the application towards the top there. But primarily it's just like the shape of the head is good. I really like this kind of sweeping helmet. Almost looks like something out of laser tag, with like just that little bit of light blue at the top there. And it's a good face. And I like that darker blue for the eyes that kind of matches in with the darker blue of the eyes for the monster mode. But it's just, the face itself is just a little too dark. It's just, it hides the sculpting details a little bit too much. Like if it had just been a little bit lighter, just a little bit lighter, I think it would work a little bit better. Anyway, let's bring back the monster here. And as you might expect, because the lower half of this guy is exactly the same as Twinferno and Double Cross, the transformation there is exactly the same. So it's just the upper body that's any different. And here we have Grotusque in his robot mode, and as much grief as I may have given the monster mode with that color scheme, and, well, didn't mention at the time, but the legs kind of looked a little bit scrawny compared to the rest of what was going on there, but yeah, as much grief as I may have given that monster mode, I love this robot mode. This looks fantastic. Like, just the shape and the silhouette of this guy is just lovely. The big thing that helps me with this, as opposed to Double Cross and Twinferno, is right up here, the chest. It's this really interesting kind of bulked out shape, and that coupled with the little detail in here, which I love that trick, by the way, of like the head splitting apart and like the jaw coming down and forming the chest detail there. But like all that together gives him a really cool looking torso, and it just looks great. I mean, you can see the legs are more or less exactly the same as Twinferno and Double Cross, just different colors. But then, yeah, it looks so cool. And that slightly bulkier torso, coupled with like the spine detail here that leads up into the monster head, the top of the monster head, it's such a neat, it's just such a neat shape. Love the silhouette on this guy. And the color scheme works better here too. Like here you can actually see that the shades of that purpley color is like slightly different in places. Like here it's a little bit more red, and also up here on the hip skirts. But then here and right down here, it's a little bit more purple. They're close enough in tone that it doesn't really stand out to me too much. It's just, more of a, like, oh, it's slightly different, okay. But like here, I don't know, just the distribution of the color works better for me. Instead of like this heavily purple torso, like a heavily purple body with like all gray legs with like white feet, and the mostly purple arms with like the whitish shoulders and the dark gray head. Here, like just the added little bits of color breakup really, really help this color scheme. Like having the gray feet that lead into the purpley red shins, as opposed to, again, like all gray legs. The breakup here with like the white, purpley red, and then the white again. The colors are spread much more evenly throughout, and you don't see as much of the dark gray, but I think that actually works better for the figure, because you just have the dark gray in the feet, and like a little bit up here, and then you can kind of see it peeking out from the wings, and it just, oh, also a little bit down there. But yeah, no, it looks really good. I really, really like the way the color scheme works with this guy. I feel like, a less garish color scheme would probably look even more awesome, but they're doing the G1 thing, so can't really blame them for that. And yeah, I really like this guy. The details, again, pretty much the same, except he doesn't have venting. But like, the molding is almost identical to a point. The hip skirt area it's like a different shape, and it's slightly bigger. If I bring in Twinferno here, you can see that definitely a different shape and a little bit bigger. Anyway, so yeah, that's a little bit bulked out. Of course, the chest area is completely different because of how the transformation works. And the arms are very different because they're actually arms and not dragon heads. And yeah, it works so well. The little claws tuck back pretty well. The shoulders have some nice sort of technical detail on there. And then, of course, that chest and the face. And now here, taken overall, the darkness of the face, I think, works a little bit better. Like, you still can't really make out the details, and I still think it'd be nice if either the sculpting was a little bit sharper or the shade was a little bit lighter so that you could make out those details better. But in the grand scheme of things, at least it works, like, color scheme wise. Yeah, I really, really like Grotusque's robot mode. It is so cool. And he does have his guns, as you do. And just like Twinferno and Double Cross, well, Twinferno, I guess, because Double Cross didn't come with these guns, you can split them apart. You can give him one in each hand. You can clip them on the wings. But the thing that I found that I actually prefer to do is attaching them back here, because he's actually got these slots where you can plug these into. So just line it up and plug it in, and plug that in. And this one is a little bit loose for some reason. Angle the wings back a little bit, and I like that look very much, of him just kind of standing there with the guns poking up off his back. I don't know, it makes for an interesting addition to the silhouette. I am very much into that. In terms of the other monster bots, again, I'm not entirely sure he goes with Double Cross or Twinferno better. I mean, again, his color scheme is just much brighter and intentionally more garish than either of theirs. So I don't see him so much complimenting either one, but because of that, I don't think he necessarily clashes with either one. Like, if you look at him and just Grotusque and Double Cross here, you can see they work pretty well together. I also think it's interesting that despite being a little bit shorter in monster mode, Grotusque is actually a bit taller in robot mode, which I guess has to do with the way the torso is designed. So it's a very slight height difference, but it is there. Anyway, yeah, these two go together just fine. And then bringing in Twinferno, I think these two go together just fine. It's, again, like, they don't necessarily match in any regard color-wise, but they also just, they're both monster bots, so it works. I also like how in both cases of Double Cross and Twinferno, even though they are from the same mold, you really wouldn't know it by looking at them just at first glance. Like, there are some vague similarities with the Titan Master cockpit window poking out on the stomach there. The wings are obviously the same mold, but because they're different shades and because they're kind of tucked back, it's not really an important detail to notice. And the legs are the same, but because of the coloring, it just calls attention to different parts of the molding, so it makes them look different enough that it's not immediately apparent that they're exactly the same. And then, of course, you've got the main differences like the arms and the torso, and that really helps to stand out. I almost forgot to do a proper standard amiibo size comparison, so here we go. As you can see, Grotusque is the same height as generally the same height as a Titan's Return Deluxe, which, I mean, is obvious because you got to see him standing next to Twinferno and Double Cross, but still, I still want to do the general comparison, plus I still want to show this off because it's cool. Oh, Audacity. How much I wish I didn't have to rely on you. You record long enough, lose track of time, and suddenly the audio gets completely borked. So, to try and remember what I said in closing last time, I really, really, really like Grotusque. He is a very cool figure. He's almost my favorite of the Titan's Return line. At this point, it's really a toss-up between him and Twinferno, or Double Cross, because I still really like the mold, really like the transformation. The only thing that kind of balances them both out in my mind is the fact that Grotusque's monster mode is a little bit goofy looking in that he's got these scrawny legs, and it works a lot better for Twinferno and Double Cross's monster mode. But then I think his robot mode looks just a little bit more burly, a little bit more just don't mess with me, just cooler overall, even with the gaudy color scheme, than either Twinferno or Double Cross. So yeah, it's kind of one or the other. It's I can't bring myself to pick one of the two, so I'm just going to say that at this point, Grotusque and Double Cross are my favorites from that particular line. If you're looking for Grotusque, I was finally able to get mine from Toys R Us's website. I don't know if any are still available. If they are, I will include a link down below, so if you want to try and get your hands on one, there'll be a link if they're available. If they're not available, I will not be including a link because it's not really any point in linking you to something you can't buy, right? But he is totally worth getting for the non-over marked up price. Honestly, I don't think I'd be all that disappointed if I paid the markup either, but I am glad I managed to get him for a more normal price. Yeah, he's very cool. What do you all think? Do you prefer this robot mode shape? Do you think it's not as interesting as Twinferno? Since both Grotusque and Twinferno are meant to be sort of G1 evocative color schemes, does this color scheme bother you at all, or are you totally into it because of its adherence to the G1 color scheme? Do you even care about the fact that the monster mode's legs are so scrawny? Because, I mean, I could see why you wouldn't. And what do you think? Do you think Hasbro's going to surprise us out of nowhere with a deluxe size Repugnus? It'd be cool if they did, although I would kind of like it if they didn't reuse this mold a third time, or if they did reuse this, that they did something significantly different with it. Yeah, let me know what you think. Anyway, that is going to do it. So, that has been my look at Titan's Return Grotusque. Thank you everybody for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Any of those three would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.